My childhood sweetheart's ideal woman committed suicide simply because he married me. In the 30 years of our marriage, we most often cursed each other with a terrible death. We had a huge fight on the day I died. Before slamming the door, he poisoned my tea. The moment the poison took effect, I knew it was him. I clung to my last breath, waited for him to return, and stabbed him in the abdomen, wanting him to join me in hell. But as I lay dying, I overheard him stopping his men from killing me. With his last breath, he said, "Give her the antidote I found. After I die, you must continue investigating who has been poisoning her. And, when she wakes up, don't tell this crazy woman that I was the one who found the antidote." Hearing those words, I closed my eyes and shed a tear. Only at the very end did I understand how terribly wrong we had been. Whether it was divine mercy or not, I was reborn. After my rebirth, I decisively changed my university application to study abroad, on the other side of the ocean. I thought that from then on, the world would be vast and free, and he and his beloved could live happily ever after without me. When I opened my eyes again, I was leaning in a warm embrace. Someone was holding a spoon to my lips, offering ginger soup. I turned my head sharply and met Asher Knight's bloodshot eyes. In that instant, we both froze. I remembered. This was the day after I'd stood in the heavy rain all night, trying to force him to marry me. Asher clearly hadn't slept. A light stubble shadowed his chin. "Drink it yourself." The worry in his eyes vanished the moment he saw I was awake. He pushed me away, and that familiar, tense, confrontational atmosphere from my previous life returned. "Asher," I croaked, my voice hoarse. Hug me again," I said. He started to get up, but I hugged him from behind. I could feel his muscles instantly tense. "Scarlett." He grasped my hands tightly. "Forced melons are never sweet." "I know." I pressed myself close against his back, feeling his warmth one last time. "I've figured it out." "Figured it out?" He chuckled, his voice laced with exhaustion. "When haven't you said that?" With that, he forcibly pried my hands open, pushed me onto the bed, and left without a backward glance. The sight of him slamming the door echoed our last meeting in my previous life. I looked down at my palms, as if his warmth still lingered there. But he didn't know that this time I truly understood. I was the girl next door who grew up with him, the daughter of his deceased benefactor, and always a source of trouble. But I was never his love. I closed my eyes and silently told myself that this time, I really had to let go. Just then, my phone vibrated. It was my assistant calling. "Young Miss Lincoln, we've inspected the Maldives. Haven't you always wanted to have a wedding by the sea? Should we move the wedding venue there? Ask Sia for her opinion. She also loves the sea. If she's willing, then we'll change it," I said. "Young miss?" The assistant sounded like she'd misheard me. "But you're the bride." "Not anymore, starting today." With that, I hung up and called the tutor who supervised my PhD. "Are you sure about this? No wedding? You're planning to come abroad with me for the project?" My tutor asked again, confirming my decision. I nodded vigorously, even though I knew he couldn't see me. "I've thought it over, and I definitely won't regret it." The tutor breathed a sigh of relief and quickly signed the document, as if afraid I would change my mind. "Although you're about to graduate, they've always hoped I could keep you. Many people have applied for this project, but no one can replace you. It's good that you've thought it through. You can always consider marriage after you come back in 3 years. A few years won't make a difference." I felt a little guilty. They had specifically requested me for this project, but before, my mind was completely consumed by Asher, and I refused my tutor's invitation. The tutor had no choice but to find someone else, but they couldn't find a suitable candidate, which delayed the entire project. I finished processing the last document in the office and was just about to leave when a familiar sob came from outside the door. "I've really worked so hard, but I didn't expect Scarlett to suddenly take the spot. All my efforts this month have been for nothing." Wah. It was Sia, Asher's unattained love, and the woman who made it impossible for Asher and me to reconcile for 30 years in our past life. I gripped the doorknob, took a deep breath, and opened the door. Asher stood there, looking down at me with an unprecedented sense of menace. "Scarlett, give the spot back." Looking at Asher's expression, and then at Sia behind him, who was crying so hard she could barely breathe, I shook my head. "Impossible." "Scarlett." Disbelief filled Asher's face. "I've already been forced to agree to marry you. Do you think I don't know you've even arranged the wedding venue? You wouldn't take on this project at all. You're just deliberately making things difficult for Sia." Sia also stepped forward, her eyes red. "Scarlett, I put so much effort into getting this opportunity. I definitely won't bother you after I leave, so please be at ease. You know in your heart whether you've truly put in the effort. You won't get this project," I said. Before Sia applied, she wanted Asher to accompany her, thinking I couldn't stop her then. But because I harmed myself several times, Asher, remembering my parents' kindness to his family, still agreed to marry me. Sia, in a fit of anger, decided to apply on her own, but she's been acting out of spite these past few months and hasn't prepared properly. In my previous life, she didn't succeed. Asher frowned. "You didn't even give her a chance. Why are you saying she can't get it?" I waved the document in my hand. "Professor Carter has already signed and stamped it." "Scarlett." Asher clenched his fist, his eyes filled with disappointment. "I thought you were just being capricious. I didn't realize you were so malicious. You don't need this opportunity, but do you even know how much Sia has sacrificed to get where she is today? I can't believe you'd block her by taking up one of Professor Carter's spots, just to make things difficult for her." He grew more agitated, his breathing quickening as he glared at me. "Listen to me. You may have used my gratitude to force me into marrying you, but because of this, I will never consider you my wife." "I know." I nodded calmly, having heard those words countless times in my previous life. Asher turned and walked away, putting his arm around Sia's shoulders and softly comforting her. It's okay, I'll fund you to find other opportunities. Don't be sad. His gentle demeanor was what I had dreamed of countless times in my previous life, but I couldn't have it then, and I don't want it now. I really should leave, Asher. I thought I wouldn't see Asher again before the wedding, but I was wrong. When I returned to the bridal suite I had booked, I came face to face with him as soon as I opened the door. Before I could speak, he strode past me and left. My body hadn't fully recovered, and seeing a bowl of perfectly warm ginger soup on the dining table filled my heart with conflicting emotions. In a daze, I remembered my previous life. Though he always complained about me, he still took care of me when I was injured or ill. Because my parents had asked him to look after me before they died, even after our fiercest arguments, he'd unhesitatingly donate 600 cubic centimeters of blood when I was injured and needed a transfusion. Even if we'd just sworn to never see each other again, he'd still rush to push me out of the way of an oncoming car. He was simply repaying a debt, while I always craved his love as well. Sipping the ginger soup, possibly the last I'd ever have, a memory surfaced. A glance at the date sent a jolt through me. I slammed the bowl down and, while slipping on my shoes, barked into the phone, "Get to alley number 8 on 17th Street, now." Rain lashed down, but I bolted out without an umbrella. Guided by the memories of my past life, I found the alley where Sia was to be assaulted. Just as I remembered, a dozen burly men were surrounding a girl. "Don't think your parents' death means you're off the hook. I've given you until today. Still can't pay? Then you'll pay with your body," the ringleader snarled. "Stop." I grabbed a beer bottle and smashed it over the leader's head, then I grabbed Sia's hand and ran. Sia slipped on the rain-slicked ground and fell hard. I tried to pull her up, but I couldn't. The dozen or so men were closing in. I had no choice but to shield her behind me. "Run. I'll hold them off." Sia seemed terrified, hugging herself and shivering. "Run." I struggled to fend off the people rushing toward me. Although I'd studied Taekwondo for 10 years, I couldn't withstand being attacked by a dozen men. "I can't hold them off for long. Go find the police, quickly." I'm so scared. I can't move." Sia's voice trembled violently. I gritted my teeth and kicked a man away, buying myself some time. I turned back and tried to pull her up with all my strength, but she suddenly screamed and shoved me away. A knife pierced my body, and I gasped for breath. "Be blood?" The leader clearly hadn't expected that. The hand gripping the knife handle was unsteady. My eyes widened as I looked at Sia. She hugged her head, trembling, and said, I'm so sorry. I was so scared." Gritting my teeth, I yanked out the knife and swung it at them. They hadn't wanted to kill anyone in the first place, and seeing me lash out like that, they scattered and fled in terror. I staggered, nearly losing my balance. The rain blurred my vision, but I thought I heard footsteps rapidly approaching. Instinctively, I reached out for support, only to be shoved with tremendous force, my back slamming against the wall. Asher held the trembling Sia in his arms, gritting his teeth as he looked at me. "I already promised to marry you. Why are you still trying to kill her?" The wound tore, sending excruciating pain through me. I clutched my heart and swallowed a mouthful of blood with difficulty. "Asher, I didn't."